Skipping the intros and everything, just want to get right to it. Why does Zack Snyder do this? Why does Zack Snyder always make a 1 and a 1.5 of every movie that he makes? I just got finished watching Rebel Moon, the director's cuts versions of both of his films. And there's no reason why we should have two different versions of this. This was produced by Netflix. They could put out whatever version they want. If they tell you they want a PG-13 version, just make a good PG-13 version. I got into this because I'm bored. Like, there's nothing that I really want to see that is streaming that I have access to. And so I said, let me put on Rebel Moon, the director's cut, just to see what's different. In the first 20 minutes, I was blown away. This is totally different from what I saw the first time I watched this. It gives whole new meaning to certain characters. But at the same time, you're doing all of this to, so say, make your own vision or to make the true vision of what you wanted. But dog, you could just do that the first time. And of course, everything that you want in the movie may not be in the final cut of the film, but you can at least capture the heart of what you want. The director's cut version is so different from what you see in the PG-13 version. It's like very different films. Like, you really have to watch it closely to see the differences. I think specifically to those first 20 minutes, like in those first 20 minutes, you get so much more context to your villains, as well as so much more context to one particular side character who got a lot of shine in the second film. And it's like, okay, I understand why he was important in the second film. If you would have gave him maybe 10 minutes of this 20 minutes in the original version, mission accomplished. But you didn't do that. You gave us a whole nother movie to sit through and like nitpick and see what's different. You didn't need that. Each one of the Rebel Moon movies have an additional at least 50 minutes of screen time. So in the first one, you get the 20 minutes put on the beginning, great stuff, and then everything else kind of flows the same, just certain scenes are longer. I'm fine with. The second one, the problems that were present in the second one are even more exposed in this one. So one of the things that I felt like was a big deal in the second one is that everything felt undeserved. And now you just get more of those undeserved moments or extended versions of those undeserved moments. I hated that stuff. It makes me actually feel more negatively towards what I watched in the first time than I felt coming off of it. Like, in neither one of the films, although they are improved, they are not a whole category better. My original criticism was that the first movie was good, and while the director's cut is better, it's still just in the good category. And the second film was just all right. And while it is a bit better, it's still just all right. It's still not a good movie compared to the first one. And so, man, I feel let down by having to sit there and watch all of that. And I feel like if you would just give us the good version off the rip, we wouldn't have to do this. And I don't know. Now that I'm sitting here and actually going through it and saying the words out loud, I kind of feel like saying the second one is the director's cut is trash. Is kind of worse because you make the character of Cora or Arthaleus, however you want to call her, like, she's worse in this director's cut version. Like, the first PG-13 versions had no sex. You put so much sex and you put so much gore just to do it. That's really what it felt like. Like, let's just throw in some tits and some blood because people like that. And I didn't like it. And I feel like it made Arteleus or Cora worse. She has a random sex scene in the director's cut of the first one. So she's sleeping with the randoms. And then at the end of the first one, she was giving the eyes to Charlie Hunnam. And that's in the PG-13 version and the director's cut. She had more chemistry with him than she had with the Gunner character. And then you get to the second film, and now she has her eyes on Gunner after having her eyes on Charlie Hunnam and also sleeping with a random in the director's cut. And now you in the director's cut of the second one, and she has this long sex scene with the Gunner character. And it's like, what are you doing? This sex scene adds nothing to their relationship. Absolutely nothing. And if anything, it makes the movie look more stupid. Because why do we want to spend so much time looking at Sophia Boutella naked with this man when it doesn't add any dynamic to their relationship? When I watched the PG-13 version, I questioned Why are they together? When I watch this version, even with a longer sex scene and more time of them kissing and touching, it doesn't intensify the relationship. They still don't seem like they should be together. They still don't have the best chemistry. What you doing? The blood, the guts being present, I guess that's all cool. It didn't really add anything to the film. It didn't make any of the action sequences better to me. I just feel like overall they threw in some breasts, a lot more breast shots, and a lot more guts and blood and pieces and chunks of people flying across the screen in slow motion, and thought that would make it cooler and better action. And it just failed in that department for me. Ultimately, I feel pretty much the same about the Zack Snyder films. I like Zack Snyder as a director. I like his visual style. But man, like, stop doing this director's cut nonsense. Put out your best vision and the best version of the film the first time out. Stick within the parameters. Like, tell your story inside the PG-13 parameters that people want, and just give us that. Don't make us come back and sit down for another 5-6 hours watching your version of things unfold because it got more blood and more breastises, because that's not bringing anybody to the table, not if they grown like myself. And so those are my thoughts on all of that. Let me know your thoughts if you choose to do so. If you watched thus far, I thank you so much. And that's all I got for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, go watch something good. Skip them director's cuts though.